Carmen, I'm very busy with dispute cases these days.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll talk about how to manage and resolve shareholders dispute.
Yes. Welcome to this YouTube channel of K-Leaders. I'm Francis Chen.
I'm Carmen Chi.
Carmen, can you share with us how to deal with the dispute?
So when you have a shareholders dispute, so what's the most important thing? Well, perhaps it's actually to minimize your damage and maximize your profits. So how are you going to do that? Let us take a look. Now, during the early stages of a shareholders dispute, you will need to come up with a strategy. You need to identify your objective and actually know what realistically you can achieve. If you fail to do that, if the shareholder disputes actually escalate, then it's going to take you quite a lot of time and quite a bit of money to get it resolved. So the first thing that I would suggest that you do, if you have a shareholders agreement, then you should actually go into your shareholders agreement and other corporate documents or any other documents that you've previously signed with other shareholders. Look into them and check out what are your shareholders' rights and also the dispute resolutions provisions. Now, of course, the best way to deal with any kind of disputes, and especially shareholders disputes, is to negotiate and talk it out. You need to, at the very early stage, you need to identify what sort of concession, what sort of compromise that you're actually willing to take, and what sort of workable solution you're willing to put forward to other shareholders. Because most important thing is that you actually don't want it to escalate. So you come to the negotiation table and you negotiate in good faith with other shareholders, but you fail to resolve the problem. So what do you expect next? You're going to be under scrutiny. Thing is, every single little step that you take, however minor it may appear to you, later on, if the shareholder disputes escalate, then whatever you do today can very well turn out to be quite major and quite significant. So what other options are available, or what may happen if you fail to negotiate and talk it out? Now, the disagreeing shareholder may actually get bought out by the existing shareholders, or the disagreeing shareholder may actually sell its shares to an external party. Or there's a case where maybe all the shareholders, they actually don't want to continue on with the business relationship, so they sell the entire business. Well, what about the valuation of the shares and also the valuation of the company? I would advise everyone to, first of all, look into a shareholders agreement if you actually have one. There may be a valuation mechanism. If there is, then you should probably just follow that. Or if you don't have a shareholders agreement, then what you can do is actually you consult an independent valuer such as a certified accountant to conduct a valuation of your company. So I'm not going to go into the different valuation approach because I'm not a valuer myself, but I can tell you what do they usually look at when they evaluate shares and the value of the company. They look at the business assets, the profitability, the future prospects, the turnover, goodwill, expected returns. Or if the company has previously raised fundings, then they would look at the previous rounds of fundings as a reference. So if all else fails, then maybe the parties will decide to liquidate the company. Now, if all the shareholders decide that, well, actually we should go to court and we actually need to fight this out, then what platforms can you actually resolve your dispute? If you decide to go to court, whatever you say in court, it's public because the whole hearing is conducted in a public arena. So it's very likely that all your business arrangements, your commercial terms, your commercial discussions, everything that you say to the judge, everything you say in court will end up being in the transcript, will actually end up showing in the court's judgment, which is searchable in the judiciary website. Alternatively, you might want to go for arbitration. So if you go for arbitration, then there is an advantage to it. Why is that? Because arbitration is actually conducted in private. So this way, it will actually help to preserve and maintain the business relationship in between the parties.
Yeah, Carmen, is it arbitration is cheaper than going to the court?
Actually, it's not. Actually, going to court and also arbitration, it can actually be quite costly. So it's actually best that you negotiate it out.
Carmen, I think several cases where the shareholders do not want to talk to each other.
Right.
And some of the shareholders just simply choose to walk away without giving any feedback. Some of the shareholders will unilaterally petition to wind up the company.
So in that case, I've actually heard of minority shareholder. They may actually want to control the situation, or one of the shareholders just don't want to turn a blind eye. They just don't care anymore, and they don't show up to shareholders meeting so that no resolutions can be passed to a point where even as simple as appointing or dismissing a particular director, it's not even possible. So when that happens, what other avenues do you have, right? Sometimes the shareholders, they may actually ask for the court's assistance, and they may actually ask the court to give an order to call and conduct the shareholders meeting in another appropriate way. The court may not actually give it to you. It's not guaranteed that the court will actually step in and grant you the order that you asked for. The court actually has a discretion on whether or not to grant you this order. But the thing is that the court will look at whether it is entirely impossible to call and conduct the shareholders meeting. Court will look at whether the company and the shareholders they have actually comply with the company's ordinance and company law in calling and conducting the shareholders meeting. So I would advise everyone to seek legal advice early on.
Yeah, Carmen, I totally agree with you on this. Because when we come across our other kind cases, it seems that because we are not lawyers, we don't know too much about the law.
Right.
So when the shareholders do something, in fact, as you mentioned earlier, that action may prejudice their positions when they go to the court.
Yeah, I agree, yes.
Yeah, and our role as company secretary is to advise the client to take proper approach to convey and hold a meeting.
Right.
That will strengthen their position. So thank you very much for sharing,
Thank
Carmen. Very detailed, very useful. So this is the end of this episode. So next episode, what would you be sharing?
I think next time we'll talk about sale of business and assets.
Oh, excellent. So see you next time.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for watching this video. If you like it, please give us a like and subscribe and share with your friends. Look forward to your continued support. See you next time. Bye-bye.